lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Manny.
And today we're going to be talking about a book that to be honest, I wish I would have talked about sooner, but we're going to be talking about Kabuki by David Mack. Before we get into it, I want to remind everybody, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Check out some of the content we have on the channel. We're a daily YouTube channel, so we're always dropping stuff, whether it's new, old, indie, big publishers, all that good stuff. So hit that subscribe button. And now let's dive into Kabuki, Fear the Reaper, which is not the first appearance of Kabuki when I was looking it up, but it is the first solo book that she's in.
Was it a Caliber Presents type situation?
I forgot the name of the book that it was in when I was looking it up. I can't remember what it was, but it was like some random title. Not Caliber Presents though. But, you mentioning Caliber Press is the company that did this, responsible for publishing, I believe, Brian Bendis's first work. A lot of great stuff came out of Caliber Press back then in the 90s.
Fucking Crow, bro.
Yeah, exactly, dude. So a lot of cool shit. What's interesting is, this Fear the Reaper one-shot precedes the Circle of Blood storyline, which is like the first trade collection, if you're looking for the first trade. What's nuts is he did this at age 21.
That's amazing to me, man.
While he was in college, he turned it in for his senior writing thesis. How fucking crazy is that? And look at the career that David Mack has had since then.
I mean, dude, he created Echo,
right? And
which
he
is
did some great stuff with Daredevil. He's worked in film and television, doing all sorts of stuff. That book cover that he did with Brian Michael Bendis is phenomenal. I think it's going to be adapted. He's had a very interesting life, to say the least.
And his art has evolved so much over time. I really didn't read Kabuki when it came out. I was aware of it because Wizard and all these books were talking a lot about it, and it kind of got lumped into the whole bad girl phase. I actually think that this transcends that and is this is something much better than that.
Yeah, agree.
I would say this is more of an outlaw comic like The Crow or something like that. Especially this issue in particular really reminded me a lot of James O'Barr. I loved going through this. I was staring at these pages and as I was sipping my tea at night, looking at this shit, I was like, fuck, this is beautiful.
It is. It's amazing. And it's cool to see how his art has evolved, but also within this issue, you see him do different styles, which he does that a lot. Like in that book cover I mentioned, there's multiple styles, like watercolor, very minimal line work. Like he is one of the most versatile artists, I think, that works in comic books.
Yeah, he works in mixed media too,
We're getting the intro of Kabuki, who is basically, she's a Japanese government assassin, and she's part of this entire fucking, I don't know, not a team, but it's there's multiple people within this, they're called the No or the Na.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's just really interesting, the way he tells this story too. It's very it's different than anything I think probably was coming out at this time.
I agree.
To say.
I just love the line work, man. This beautiful black and white. This is. I think all comics are art. I'm you and I are big comic book fans, and I do 100% believe that comic book storytelling is another form of a fine art. But this kind of line work just shows you that, like you said earlier, David Mack is someone like Jim Rugg that dabbles in areas outside of comic book storytelling, and you can tell that he uses those disciplines in his storytelling.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, this is very cyberpunk. There's a little bit of Blade Runner here, and a sort of slightly dystopian kind of big city.
Yeah, it's an alternate future. That's not too far in the future, but it is an alternate future set in Japan, and it's it's interesting that Kabuki's talking to people on the fucking television, little sister is watching you. I love these inset panels, and then them going after their target.
There's some Frank Miller going on here too, and the extreme contrast of black and white, but then you've got duotone going on over here in the background.
Yeah, dude, it's something else, man. And it feels it felt like a John Woo action movie.
I was about to say definitely has like aspects of like John Woo and like other sort of like Hong Kong action cinema, stuff like the Flying Swordsman and like like that early like wire fu that eventually found its way to America through things like The Matrix and John Wick. But like all that is here, definitely John Woo. Good call on that.
I love it. It's very cinematic. That's why I say John Woo. But like the way that the shattering of like the vase, right? The flowers floating down, him wiping the sword of the blood,
Yep.
and within here, like this guy that's just got killed, like an angel has come for me. She's crying for me. No, she's laughing at me.
I forgot how poetic the writing was too,
Yeah. I really love the teardrop too. Like, look at that. Like we're panning out as she's looking.
Yeah.
And then you go straight into Kabuki. And then look at this too. As she's like jumping, she's like hidden in the shadows. And it almost looks like this the kind of reminds me of the Japanese flag, like the little circle
totally,
in the center.
dude. Totally, yeah.
Just the heavy blacks, like you go from a complete black background to fucking white.
Again, and that's so impactful, I almost wish that was on a page turn, but but it's still impactful, and like the way she's using like that like weird crescent moon sword thing and hitting this guy in the head, like.
And then like that's her vision. That's what she sees. So like he's talking from this aspect. She's like target armed, terminate. Yeah. And I'm imagining, I don't know what this means. Like that's what I'm kind of curious about. Because it says like 10 million, or maybe that's like, or maybe that's distance. Maybe that's distance actually.
Maybe yeah. It's very much like when in RoboCop, like when they show you what he sees and like it's giving him, in this case, her statistics and like information that's helping her assassinate the person better.
I love her weapons too. I don't know what those particular weapons are called. I know they're not necessarily scythes, but they're sick, dude. The way she fucking like lunges it right through his skull, and then you're getting what he's looking like too, like the fear slowly creeping in, and then he's like, shit, and then boom. Sometimes there's no comedy, no tragedy, only a closing curtain. Like you said, very poetic. David Mack's writing is at moments. Not everything is like that, but I mean, to have a 21-year-old come out swinging with this, dude. I mean, it just like, I don't think that's necessarily very commonplace. Was it back then or even now? For somebody to come out like, not just illustrating, not just writing, but to do both. I love the design of Kabuki too.
Yeah, dude. Amazing.
Sickles, that's what they're called. The sickles hold life and death in the balance of the no, a balance weighed in the scales of the dragon.
Her hands hold the cold steel. Her flag holds a circle of blood. The circle of blood holds her tight. I mean, it's like it. Yeah, dude. Really great writing. Really great art. I mean, like you said, to create a fully formed book like this at the age of 21 while still being in art school, it's like, this is an outlier, man. This is a prodigy, like at work.
And it's interesting because he doesn't have like a large body of work in terms of comics, right? Like he's done a lot of cover work, but even with Kabuki, I need to go back and get the trades again because I don't have them anymore. But I did read, I think, the first 3 volumes, and like I know he does all the Circle of Blood, but then he starts bringing in other artists, and then he's just simply writing, and then he'll do one-offs. But I didn't even realize when I picked this up that this was separate from the Circle of Blood storyline because it's collected in that trade. But also Fear the Reaper is such a great title. And to break it, breaking it up into chapters, we're getting the origin, we're learning about the no and stuff, and like the design work, like to use this, having this guy here, like the shadow, like to make him look like the shadow of a devil because of the mask he's wearing.
And just how steeped in Asian culture it is, and like this sort of, like you said, near future version of Japan that like is mixing like these old traditional Japanese like motifs with like this new technology. Like I think of movies like Blade Runner, and I mean, actually, Blade Runner is what came to mind immediately when I was reading this, and I'm sure it had to be an influence because Blade Runner itself sort of takes place in a future where like there's a lot of Asian culture that has permeated the city and the culture.
Yeah,
I love these.
Oh yeah, when you fucking meet the 8, her comrades in arms, and like you have Kabuki, you have Scarab, which all of them I believe get like spotlights in the later on. Because I remember there's a trade with Scarab in the title, and you get Ice, Tiger Lily, Snapdragon, Butch, and then Siamese, which is like their sisters.
I love this too. Twins joined at the shoulder and each given a mechanical limb at their point of separation. That is fucking badass, dude.
It's fucking sick, dude. It's like,
yeah, dude.
Like reading this again just made me want to dive deep right back into Kabuki. And it sucks because like when we decide to do these, this really derails me from getting through my read pile. Every time we do this, I mean, you know, I was going through my read pile, which is why this was even approached. But then it's like I end up falling down the rabbit hole of going through stuff I've already read instead of reading shit.
100%. And this, like, as I was reading this, like, I started messaging Adam because you know we're gonna start working on ideas for Relic Hunter issue 3, where it's gonna be in the future. And I was like, bro, Kabuki's giving me a lot of cyberpunk vibes, and he's, I mean, not to like rest, but like that's how much this book is vibing with right now. Where I'm like, I want to write something like this. I want to see something like this again. You know?
I love this page right here, dude. This is just the level of work that he puts into, like on the tattoos.
And the faces, man. Like, look at the face in that photograph.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? He's also doing the lettering here, and like that's also it's really good too.
No, Joe Martin's doing the lettering.
Oh, is he? Okay, my bad. But
yeah,
is this hand lettering? It certainly looks like it is.
It does have that vibe to it. It's just like very, like, again, like the composition that he chooses to use here is so interesting. Like to have this contrast of black and white here, where it looks just you invert on the within the same page, and like these gears grinding, and then it's like they look at like snowflakes are dropping, and then it goes here, right, and then it flows into the fucking, you know, channel snow. Like anybody that grew up in fucking, like, you know, when we were kids, our generation, you know what channel snow is, man. That fucking like dead space where it's just like sound and stuff, and it goes right into this Kabuki, which I think is interesting because like that's not the logo he uses, but it's the logo for the show. And then this, bro. Oh my god, I love this.
Oh, dude, yeah, like that's what I'm talking about. Like it looks like that looks almost like duotone on her skin.
Mm-hmm. And it has like a very, like, I don't want to call it outlaw comics, but it kind of has that, a little bit of that vibe.
Oh, dude, 100%. I mean, it's a little more refined than we're used to seeing in something like an outlaw comic, because you know, outlaw comics usually looks like they're drawn by like a mad person, and this is obviously illustrated by someone with like a very what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're trained artistically. You know, this is someone with huge discipline when it comes to drawing.
And then this imagery of like the rising sun motif for like Japan, and getting to see this futuristic city, which is, this is the first time we're actually seeing the cityscape and seeing really how advanced it is. And then great to go to the next page, bro. And then you see this like cape draping over this, what I believe is the same panel just inlaid over here.
Yeah. And then, this gave me Frank Miller vibes too, like the way the sheet and the characters, you know.
Really good, dude.
I mean, it's sexy, it's fucking beautiful art, like, and definitely Frank Miller vibes too, even in the faces.
The snowflake tattoo on her. They had hoped he would expire of old age. They felt no need to make him a martyr, but he had become too powerful. Crazy. So like there's, you know, secret organizations here, like fucking Yakuza, and they're talking about their top agent that's come to kill him, this guy, right? And it's Kabuki. Don't be flat. She's like, I'm flattered. You're like, don't be. Her name is Kabuki. It's written with 3 Chinese characters, meaning song, dance, action. She wants to do a little song and dance on your grave, and her actions are quite lethal. I mean, just like next level. This is like, you know, the dragon tattoo on her back. The way her fucking weapons, the sickles, like with this like dragon head, giving like almost like breathing out the blade. Such a great design, dude.
And again, like I love these pages that are like you know, illustrations on the side with like a lot of this beautiful like lettered text on the side here. It's so gorgeous, man.
And just, you know, describing her, like you're having her an enemy describe who she is to us. You know, her body armor, her distinguishing features, including that tattoo, her face reputed to be horribly disfigured by large scars, so which is why she wears this mask, which is bulletproof, and her eyes are shielded by a red digital visor screen. So we're getting, you know, we're a few, I don't know, maybe 20 something pages in, And now we're getting the whole backstory of why we were seeing the look from, you know, the people she was killing. And then we realized the woman that's there isn't who he thought it was. It is Kabuki. My nail polish is made of the same poison. She fucking stabs him in the eye with her nail. Oh my god, it's so dope.
I love. Yeah, that was a great detail. Now you are both completely paralyzed. In less than 2 minutes, you will die. Poison untraced. You died.
And it's like the curtain like going down over her.
And yet again, like you said earlier, man, cinematic. It's like so cinematic.
This is where it gets like super poetic right here. I am drifting in the dark, halfway between the sun and the moon, a twisted reflection of my former self. So good, man. I'd love to see him revisit this, you know? I'd really love to see him like now, like with his, you know, as much as he's learned artistically, as much as he's like grown as an artist, to see what he would do now to revisit it. I believe, I mean, it's funny, I didn't even realize it, but this is the 30th anniversary.
Oh, wow. Dude, I think this is a 30-year-old comic, man, you know, and it's still like so impactful. No wonder this thing made waves when it hit, you know, like.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, it's next level, dude. Like I said, to be 21 and to create something like this, like the dialogue, the writing flows, the art flows, like it's all like it feels really polished for a 21-year-old.
He was a full-fledged artist from the get-go. Like there's a page coming, I think there's a page coming up with like shattered urn in the shape of like Japan.
Which one are you talking about?
It's the next page. Then I think it's a page. You think you're gonna turn into it? There.
Oh yeah. That's right. I know the way it like flows into stuff. It like it's like it almost feels like you're like in this like dreamscape, you know?
Yes, very much so. Good call. Like there's a dreamlike quality to the storytelling, and that's also like an influence. Like if you watch like Japanese and Asian cinema from a certain period, they also had that kind of quality. He studied a lot of film, I think, when he was making this, because like I can't get away from what you called it out, man. It's cinematic. This is one of the most cinematic books I've read in a long time.
And he's like very entrenched in like, I feel like he's researched a lot of Japanese, a lot of Asian culture in his stuff as well.
The accuracy of like the description of the characters, like the whole idea of Kabuki. I mean, you have to have researched that to even understand what it was or what it is, you know?
I just love this book so much. It's so good. And then we get like in the back, we get some of his sketchbook stuff.
Amazing, dude. See, I don't have that because I have the collection.
It's so cool. Like, you know, you get the design for Scarab, Tiger Lily, which we only saw their face before. You know, Ice, Snapdragon. I mean, just like
amazing.
I wonder how much like he like developed the background of them, you know, prior to writing this. And then we get the ad for the first 3 issues of, you know, Circle of Blood.
Yep.
He already has that ready to go, man. Pretty crazy, dude. Pretty crazy to see that, like, to come out with a comic book, to be like at that age and be disciplined enough to continue to create not just one. I mean, how many times do we see creators like they do one and then we don't see anything for like a year or two when they're young? They're working with indie publishers, and then look at this ad for fucking Goldfish by Brian Michael Bendis.
You know what's crazy? In the introduction to the collection I have, it's written by Brian Michael Bendis, and originally David Mack had asked Bendis to illustrate Kabuki. They've been tight from the very beginning, which is interesting to watch.
Pretty dope.
And you know, I mean, obviously, like I said earlier, Mack created Echo, and David Mack had an amazing run on Daredevil too. That would be a good one to cover, actually. David Mack's run on Daredevil.
Oh yeah, dude, I'd be down. I mean, I've been wanting to. I was going to ask you if you'd be down to do that Echo arc. I think that would be fun.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Let's do it, man.
All right, cool. But yeah, this is a great title, great book. I don't think enough people are talking about it nowadays. I think it's kind of when books aren't constantly being made or constantly being reprinted, like people tend to forget. And I'm glad we decided to talk about this. It's awesome. I love David Mack, huge fan of his. And I highly recommend picking these books up any way you can, whether it's a single issue, which I always prefer, or pick up the trade. They're easy to find and worth every single penny. So go pick up Kabuki. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, we're out.